Hey, are you moving to Cary, North Carolina? If you are, then this is what you must know before buying a house in 2022. I am going to cover the process, so stay tuned. And welcome back. So happy that you're here on my channel. I am Yoana. I have been with the Prosperous Agency for 10 years, serving the Greater Triangle area, sold hundreds of homes, and I'm here to connect with all of you that are buying a house in the Greater Triangle area. And I'm going to talk to you about Cary and how hot this market is and what is it that you need to know about the process. If you are new to my channel, please stay with me till the end, especially if you have not bought a house before, because I am going to cover very important financial information. Yes, you heard me right. Money is the one that's going to get you a house. So I'm going to cover the process. I'm going to be as fast as I can. Please subscribe, comment, ask me questions. Tell me what is it that you would like to know, and anything, not only the process, maybe neighborhoods, schools, jobs, restaurants, nightlife, traffic, what's happening in North Carolina. I am here to help you. So let's start with the process. I know everybody is on Realtor and on Zillow and on all of these social media websites looking at homes, and they do not even know what is it exactly that they can purchase in this state. That doesn't only, I'm not just talking to the first-time home buyer, I'm also talking about million-dollar properties. I see this in every price point, especially for the people that are coming from California, from Florida, from New Jersey. It's absolutely amazing that you guys are coming. The competition is ferocious here. The inventory is low. The price point increased like 25% since last year or so. You know, it's just increasing month by month. Like from December to January, it increased, like the average price point actually increased 0.34%. So it's just going steadily. And I know a lot of you are going, oh my God, like probably the pricing is gonna drop. We do not see any indication of that. There's all these big companies that are coming here for a reason. Just Google it. Apple, Microsoft, Toyota. Great hospitals, we have great infrastructure, we have the RTP International Airport. We have so much going on for us here that it's very hard to think that the pricing is dropping. So now with that introduction, I'm going to lead you into what you do not have to do. So you know what? I guess most of you are gonna be like, okay, let me just know what is it that I have to do. The first thing that you do not have to do is start looking at homes. So you're here and you're like, yeah, we're looking at homes, we're traveling around with an agent or with multiple agents, and we think we can afford the home. Stop right there. Before you start looking at homes, can you please connect with a lender? That is your first and most important step. Connect with the lender or multiple lenders, shop around, and connect with a realtor that is very knowledgeable and is very versatile. So the realtor needs to be someone that has been working in this market and has seen the shift during COVID, because we are getting a lot of phone calls, again, all price points, from clients that are saying, I've just worked with a realtor for the past 3 months and I had no clue that this XYZ thing was actually supposed to happen, if I did this. So I'm like, I'm very confused as to how other realtors work this. This is the reason why I'm doing this video. Okay, so you need to go to the lender, please, and to a realtor and specify how much money would you like to spend, how much money would you like to pay, as in your monthly mortgage. I really need to know how much money I'm working with, regardless of the price point, because we cannot assume that you have 10K, 20K, 100K. We need to know. And this is the reason why. So far we covered the process, as in go to a lender, go to a realtor, do not start looking at the homes. So that's the first thing that you need to do. Know what you want to pay, and talk to a realtor about how much money you have in your savings, pretty much. And how much money do you have to put up front at the time of the offer and at the time of the contract. Why am I saying this? It's because in this state, the seller has the right to just say that they don't really know much about the house. And you are going to be bound to put a fairly high amount of money at the time of contract, and that amount is called the due diligence money. And you can lose that amount in case you decide to walk away from your contract at any point for any reason or no reason. So unless we discover something huge, like really, really wrong with the house, and then of course we're gonna go back to the listing agent and to the seller and say, hey, we believe that you are hiding something. So unless that happens, if you decide to walk away because, I don't know, the inspection report doesn't look just the way you want it to look, you are probably going to lose your money. So the reason in this process that we need to know how much money you have is because we want to make sure we represent you right, okay? So first thing in the process is writing the offer after we know how much you can afford, writing the offer and determining the purchase price and the due diligence fee. That due diligence fee can be $50,000, it can be $30,000, it can be $100,000. It is all negotiable and it depends on how hot the market and that particular house is, okay? You are going to give that directly to the seller. They're going to cash that money. You can wire it if you are from out of state, if you're not here. And again, that goes straight to the seller and it's going to go back to you at closing. So do not think, oh my God, I'm gonna lose that money. Where does that go? It's gonna go back to you at closing if you do not walk away. So this is the first thing, knowing the purchase price, the due diligence. The second thing is that you need to understand that there's also something called earnest money. Most of the states have that. They don't have the due diligence fee. They do have the earnest money. So that amount of that money does not go to the seller. That money goes straight in a trust account that is being held by the attorney or by the listing agent's trust account. And that is an additional step to show the seller how much you like the house. Do you have to give earnest money? No, you do not. Do you have to give due diligence? Yes, most probably nobody's gonna even look at your offer without that. The earnest money though is not necessary per se, because if you're going to give $100,000 in due diligence fee, the seller is going to know that if you walk away, they're just going to get $100K. So they don't care about the additional step of earnest money. But that is something that I can touch on with you when we have our buyer presentation, just to make sure that you understand again the differences, and we can determine whether or not you want to add earnest money as well to let the seller know how strong you are as a buyer, or I don't have more money, I'm gonna put everything that I have in my due diligence fee and I'm just gonna call it a day. So that's something that we can discuss later. So again, what we covered is you need to go to a lender, you need to talk to a realtor and let them know how much money they can work with, because, and this is the number 2, you need to determine your purchase price and you need to determine your due diligence fee. And we need to know how much money you have in your account so we can know how to negotiate on your behalf, right? That is the second step, and that's the most important thing. The third thing that you're going to see in that offer to purchase and contract is that due diligence time. So that period only matters if we have earnest money that we will provide after the due diligence period ends. Because what you're saying to the seller is this: I'm going to give you $50K in due diligence that's going to be that I'm going to lose if I walk away in this due diligence period that can, let's say, be 2 weeks. And then if I walk away for any or no reason, I'm going to lose this money. But if I put earnest money as well, and if I walk away 2 days or so before closing, then I'm going to lose both due diligence and earnest money, okay? So what's happening in that due diligence period, which, to be honest, and please remember this, right now, people are just saying 0 days in due diligence period. Again, they do not give earnest money. They're just giving everything they have in due diligence, or at least most of our clients, and they just go straight for the kill and they say, we're not walking away, we don't care about the due diligence period. In other words, it's not like in other states where you give the money and then the appraisal comes in low and you go, oh my God, what just happened? Our home appraised $100K lower. This is something that we need to know up front, and we advise you up front, right? So if the house was $500,000, you offered $550,000, it doesn't matter that you have or you don't have a due diligence period, because there's no additional earnest money or no earnest money that you're gonna lose. We're gonna do the same thing from time of contract till closing. So let's say we have 30 days and you gave $50K in due diligence fee. In that 30 days, we're gonna do these things. We're gonna order the appraisal. We're gonna order an inspection. What type of inspection? Regular inspection, radon inspection, termite inspection. You can have the AC, the roof covered. So all of these we're gonna do after we go under contract. That's also money that you are going to pay, POC we call it, which is paid outside of closing. So it's pretty much upfront. So you're gonna give more money. How much does an appraisal cost? Just giving you general idea, about $450, $500. Then the inspections are gonna add up. The regular inspection, about, depending on how big the house is, the termites, the radon, all of that. So let's just say another $1,000. So you are in that period where you're doing all of these things, right? So this is the process that we're gonna follow. Once we're under contract, these certain things have to happen in order for you to get to the closing. And at the end, the one that is doing the closing in this state is actually the real estate attorney, and that also will be covered by you, right? So it's going to be either $1,000, $950, depending on the attorney. They're kind of all of them kind of in the same price point. But what you need to understand again is that you have certain amount of money that you pay up front. Then you're going to have to pay all these inspections in that process, throughout the process. And then at the closing, you are going to have to go to the attorney's office, and then you're going to say, okay, well, my house was listed at $500,000. I paid this $50K. That goes back to you at closing. And then if the house didn't appraise, for example, you will be having to pay the difference between contract price and appraised value. That is very important for you to understand, because a lot of people don't understand the concept of paying more money, and so they call and they say, my agent didn't explain this properly. I told my agent that we qualify for whatever, $600,000. That's perfectly fine because your income allows you to qualify, but how much money do you have to bring? That is a completely different story. Right? So let me just give you the example of $500,000. If the house was listed at $500,000, we went under contract at $550,000. At closing, you're going to have to bring these amounts. Pure example, 20% down payment. Let's just say it's $100,000. Then you're going to have closing costs. Let's just say $10,000. So we're already at $110,000. And if the house didn't appraise at $550,000, which is our contract price, you're going to have to come up with $50,000 on top of that. So you're already at $160,000. So if you do not have that amount in your account, you're just not going to be able to close. And this is where a good agent that can go through the process with you and that can explain how much money you're going to have to put up front, how much your inspections are going to be, what is the process, who's closing this, how much are you going to pay for the attorney, what are your payments going to look like at the end when everything closes and the house goes in your name, is super, super important. So we need to make sure that you are not just looking at homes and thinking that everything is fine because based on your salary, your debt to income ratio, things look good. You're just going to have to make sure that you know your numbers up front, right? So this is the process: purchase price, due diligence, potential earnest money. We're doing our inspections, we're doing the appraisal. That's money paid outside of closing upfront. Then we're going straight to the closing after we determine that we want the house. The attorney is going to do the closing. You're going to have to pay the attorney as well. And then at the end, everything is deducted and added on your closing disclosure, which you're going to have to get about 3 days before closing from the lender. And then congratulations, it's a wrap. We're closing, the house goes in your name, and congratulations, you are a homeowner in Cary, North Carolina. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please connect with me. I'm here. And again, subscribe to my channel and ask me anything you might need to know about moving to Cary, North Carolina. Take care.